let's watch some of the media coverage, because I wanted to see how the media would frame Donald Trump's statements, because he started off with like emotional calls and being like, I was shot. It was so emotional. I cried tears. I will never tell you the story ever again. And it's like, that's fine. You know, he's going to milk it. Obviously, he got fucking shot at. But then he turned around and basically did the rally, I think, that he was going to do before he got domed. Like, he literally went for 2 hours nonstop. He broke his previous records in both 2016 and 2020 for longest speech at a convention. And he was unstoppable in terms of yapping. And the yap sesh got so out of control and so fucking boring. Feel as though even his like most ride or die MAGA fans were by the end of it like, we've heard this before. Come on, please. Lots of papers clearly printed today's front pages based on the prepared, not the delivered remarks. It's obvious. In a departure, Trump calls for unity, healing in America. Trump emphasizes unity from the Dallas Morning News. Pioneer Press, Trump takes a unity tone. He did not. And it's like so obvious that they just did not listen to the speech and turned around and wrote it, because this was not even remotely different from any of his like normal speeches. The only difference was that he did not call out Joe Biden by name, with the exception of like 2 or 3 different times. He rarely talked about Joe Biden, which I think was strategic. And it wasn't because he wanted to do a call for unity. It was because he knows that Joe Biden might not be the candidate. So he switched the narrative from Joe Biden to this administration. He kept saying this administration. Why did he say this administration? Because he recognizes that there's a high likelihood that Joe Biden drops out and Kamala Harris replaces him on the ticket. This part was crazy. I legit thought it was photoshopped. Did Trump walk on stage at the RNC in front of a giant sign that said come? What? No. What do you mean mostly true? The sign did say come. It was anti-Kamala messaging. Okay. All right, guys. Let's get back to serious business for a second. But let's hear what the media had to say, because I feel like a lot of the reaction, I was fearful that a lot of the reaction to Trump's RNC speech was going to be the classic, like, he became president on this day. He was doing a great job. He was so united. And some of the local news, some of the local press reflects that false narrative. However, I don't believe that live network television coverage is going to reflect that, because it was very obvious that Donald Trump was not trying to be the great uniter last night at all. The only time he brought up unity, as a matter of fact, was when he was talking about how in order to unite this country, you have to drop all of the cases against me, which seems a little self-serving, doesn't it? All right, let's take a look at what the media had to say, though.
All right, turning now to that big night at the RNC and former President Trump's first speech since Saturday's attempt on his life. Accepting his party's nomination, he spoke of unity while also repeating the attacks and false claims that have helped divide this country.
Good morning, Nate. You laid it out pretty well there. His voice was softer, his ear was still bandaged, and he promised to be president for all of America. But after Donald Trump detailed in sober tones Saturday's attempted assassination and said the division and discord must be healed, Donald Trump returned to being Donald Trump. He returned to form. And by the time he finished, after midnight Eastern time, he'd called a former House Speaker crazy, re-upped false claims of cheating last election, and accused Joe Biden of destroying America.
It was pretty cool when he said that President Bukele, which is a right-wing darling, by the way, who is very famously incredibly reactionary in terms of dealing with crime in his country. He like built this massive prison facility. We've watched it before. We've watched like YouTubers go there and glaze up this like concentration camp that has now a really harrowing record of human rights violations. Donald Trump claimed that Bukele was actually secretly sending all the MS-13 guys into the United States of America after training them to be more violent. Donald Trump also said hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered by migrants, which was crazy. It was nutty. Like, the tone was a little bit different. He wasn't as fired up, which I think contributed to how boring the speech was. But having said that, the message was incredibly violent, incredibly reactionary.
Former President Donald Trump honored firefighter Corey Compertori, the father of 2 who died in the shooting, protecting his wife and daughters.
Yeah, he dude, it was awesome. When he kissed The firefighter helmet, that was incredible. I thought that was wild. But also, when he blew a kissy poo at Hulk Hogan before his speech, I think that was the best part of the night. Here it is. That was incredible. What was he thinking? Like, what was going on there? It's just like, it literally jumped out of him. He is so bi-coded. He is zesty. He is queer. Okay. I'm sorry. This is like, he got so excited at this big hulking man glazing him up. This big entertaining hulking man glazing him up. And goddamn, Hulk Hogan's speech was entertaining, I will admit. And he just was like, what can I do in this moment? He wasn't even thinking at that moment. Like, he was just reacting. Donald Trump also had some funny moments where he ignored Tiffany Trump. Donald Trump literally on his own speech was basically like, it was shocking how good Eric Trump was. Am I right? And it was crazy because he was just like dunking on his own son. Literally just hates his children, except for Ivanka. Yeah, no kissy poos for her. All the kissy poos are reserved for Hulk Hogan. He loves Barron and he loves Ivanka. That's it. He hates Don Jr. He despises Eric Trump. He does not even care. He forgets that Tiffany is his like actual daughter. But isn't a Trump vote just further improving most of the average chatters in here? I feel like with how the economy has been, it can only aid better with our economy along with what is to come. Yeah, no. Donald Trump's policies did not improve your life with the exception of the stimmy checks that you got during COVID. But beyond that, Donald Trump's policies did not improve the American economy, and it certainly did not improve the economy for the actual working class Americans, which many of my community is comprised of. I don't think I have a lot of landlords and real estate moguls in here. I highly doubt that unless you're like, you know, C-suite executive at fucking Raytheon or whatever, or not even just Raytheon, but like ExxonMobil, I doubt that you saw genuine improvements in your material conditions under the Trump administration. You're just experiencing amnesia. All right, let's continue.
What in his view, the Biden administration has undone.
With proper leadership, every disaster we are now enduring will be fixed, and it will be fixed very, very quickly.
The evening at times resembled a pro wrestling tournament, less a traditional campaign rally.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States.
This was fire.
Enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother.
That was actually sick. I'm sorry. I mean, it's very stupid and everyone will be like, oh, it's idiocracy. But honestly, that was fire. Yeah, call me a fucking stupid idiot the way I thought that was awesome. Okay. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with this country. Many things are wrong with this country, but I will say that was not one of the things that was wrong with this country. It was awesome. So why did Trump recount his assassination attempt with the most boring picture slideshow? Bro, what is he supposed to do? Recreate it? Actually, I wouldn't put it past him to do that. Do exactly that. I could see him do that. Just like recreate it step by step and just like break out into song and dance.
Ever appear with him anymore. So this is the first time that she's been seen by his side. Greeting with her on the stage that I think was a little performative. He appeared to be...
Trump literally kissed everything but his wife last night. You're wrong. He did kiss his wife. He kissed his wife on stage after his speech was over. I watched it. Don't ever come for my president like that, okay? My real president. Do you believe Trump can end all wars? Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'm delusional. I was comatose for the 4 years of Donald Trump's presidency. So, of course, I think Trump can end all wars. Which, by the way, under his reign, he ended 0. But under his reign, under his rule, America did not end any of their wars, even though he claimed he would. He says that he ended all wars under his presidency. And I think people are too stupid and think that is the truth. But Biden ended more wars but had a worse net war change. Yes, that is also technically not untrue. Biden did end one of the wars, Afghanistan, which was technically Trump's Afghan withdrawal policy, which Biden followed through on to a T. And I will always give him credit for that. The media, however, was very mad that he did that. And that, I think, was the turning point in his administration. That's when the media had the fucking knives out for him. They went nutty mode over it. And then, of course, the Afghan withdrawal was nothing because, Russia invaded Ukraine. And then after Russia invaded Ukraine, then we had, an energy crisis, a simultaneous energy crisis that was made worse by the fact that greedflation was going nutty mode, where all of these corporations were taking advantage of like the increased prices, where demand went up, people started shopping again, whereas supply could not keep up. And then they realized like, oh shit, we could just keep the prices this fucking high. And then the energy crisis post-Ukraine invasion, people experienced a lot of negative real wage growth for a year and a half under the Biden administration, something that they will not forget, obviously. And then on top of that, in the last year of Brandon's administration, October 7 happened, and Israel has been doing a genocide ever since, which Brandon has been obviously defending.
I think when you watch what is arguably his biggest opportunity to speak before the most Americans, you see a little bit of where some of that thinking might be, right? This was very extemporaneous. In the room, it was messianic. People were crying, and they definitely loved it.
Okay, bro, glaze like this should be illegal, dude. I mean, I guess technically they're not wrong. Like, the room felt an air of energy in the fucking room. Like, they do think he's the Messiah. I love how a bunch of former leaders around the world have come out with heavy support of Trump. I'm more convinced than ever that Trump has the strength and bravery to save Ukraine and end this appalling war. Yeah, okay, Boris. Okay, Boris. Go to bed.
The first part of the speech, I was struck by the fact that this was a 78-year-old man who had just gone through a profoundly traumatic experience and was forced to reckon with his own mortality and how scary that was to him. And that part of it was a part of Trump you don't see, because I don't think he enjoys thinking about that at all. I also felt like the biggest takeaway after what has been 3 of the most painful weeks that I've ever seen in Democratic politics, this is not the big bad wolf. This is not a vigorous and incredibly deft political communicator. This is an old man in decline who's been doing the same shtick for a very good long time, and it's really wearing pretty thin.
I mean, yeah, I get what he's saying. I get what he's saying. He's basically saying this is the old Trump. This is the classic Trump. He didn't actually make like a genuine pivot for unity, and it's not wrong. He's not wrong. Donald Trump, the old Trump, the Trump that we know, is the Trump that everybody fucking hates. He basically had like a brief moment in the beginning where he was like, oh yeah, it was really sad. I got shot at and it was terrifying. And then immediately went to the hits. He basically did the same fucking rally speech he was going to do. The only thing that was different is that he did not actually call out Biden by name, call him Sleepy Joe, whatever. And the only reason why he didn't do that, it was because it was strategic. He is still very much beatable. Of course he is. He was the president. He is already maxed out on name recognition, just like Biden is maxed out on name recognition. He's the incumbent, right? People are already, like, they've made their opinions on Trump, okay? They've made up their minds on Trump. That's why, like, even post-assassination attempt, like, you didn't see a dramatic shift in the polls. Coping hard. This isn't coping. I still think that the current Democratic Party, with Biden leading the ticket, has a very bad chance of defeating Donald Trump. This race should not be close at all. And yet it is, and it's currently favoring Donald Trump. This is the first time Donald Trump has actually been leading in the polls. In 2020, he never led in the polls. He lost. In 2016, he never led in the polls, and he won. This is the first time where he has consistently led in the polls. Having said all of that, however, one thing that I consistently point to is how unpopular Trump is as well. There is, however, a major difference between Joe Biden and Trump. This is, yet again, just like 2020, a Trump election. In 2020, people voted against Trump. They did not vote for Biden. They voted against Trump. They voted for Biden because they were led to believe that Joe Biden is the best person to beat Trump. Now, that argument has gone away. There is no Joe Biden is the best person to beat Trump argument you can make any longer. So there is no reason for Joe Biden to stay in the race. But that doesn't change. That does not change the reality that Donald Trump is still a deeply polarizing and deeply unpopular figure. He is phenomenally popular in his base. He is phenomenally unpopular outside of his immediate base. Joe Biden doesn't really have a base. His base is just diehard Democrats for the most part.
That was a very low energy Donald Trump. That was not, you have to be a Donald Trump worshiper to hang in for the whole 90 minutes to listen to all of it.
I think he went longer than 90. Didn't he go for like 2 hours? You watched the whole thing? I did. It was 93 minutes, is 92 minutes. It felt like a lifetime. I'm not joking. It was 1 hour and 32 minutes. And it felt like it was 8 hours. It was so long, so boring, so convoluted, and so filled to the brim with all of his classic tropes, this time with like lower energy than usual too. Okay, I don't care about the MSNBC takes as much. I mean, as far as the high notes goes, Trump obviously did the classic, like, immigrants are killing every single person you've ever seen and new people that haven't even been born yet. He said hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered by immigrants. He claimed that like Venezuela and El Salvador are actually dumping all of their like criminally insane into the United States of America in a deliberate attempt to invade the United States of America, which is a wild thing to say because all the people that are coming in from Venezuela actually under Trump's administration and under Joe Biden's administration have gotten temporary protected status because they are ideologically opposed to the Venezuelan government. So they're like anti-communist, right? They're supposed to be anti-communist, anti-Maduro. You're welcoming them into the country in the same way that you did with Cubans. So that's rather shocking to me. Immigrants are taking 107% of created American jobs. Immigrants are both taking all the jobs, but they're also taking all the jobs of the murderers. They're taking all the jobs of the murderers. Like immigrants aren't just taking the regular jobs, right? They're not just becoming like CEOs of companies. They're not just taking over like the coal mines and stuff, but they're also simultaneously lazy, eating all the welfare, eating all the social safety nets that they can't even take advantage of, by the way. But they're also out competing our criminals. They've taken over all the murder. The murder rate does not reflect the reality that hundreds of thousands of Americans are being murdered all the fucking time nonstop, especially let alone by undocumented migrants. But, you know, Trump has like 1 or 2 cases that he can always point to and be like, yeah, that's right. What do you mean they can't get social services? Undocumented migrants cannot take advantage of welfare in this country. The only thing that the Republicans lie about in the least decent way possible is that they will turn around and claim that the children of undocumented migrants that were born on U.S. soil that are literally actual American citizens, okay, their cost is tacked on to the overall billions of dollars that undocumented migrants are actually taking from the social safety nets. They say the children born into a family with at least one parent that is undocumented is still technically taking advantage of, is still tacked on to the undocumented migrant number. There are no benefits that they can take. They actually put into the Social Security. They actually contribute to sales taxes, obviously.
Hello.
Is your flight fine? Have you figured it out?
I mean, apparently.
All right, let's continue. This is Undecided Voters grading Trump's performance at RNC.
Scoop, 11 of the 13 still haven't decided who they're going to vote for president in November. 2 of them have decided. This gentleman right here, Kevin, for Donald Trump, he knows that already. This woman here, Paula, for Joe Biden, or the Democrat who might eventually take his place, she knows that already. Right. But what I want to ask you all first at this point, all 13 of you, what you thought of this speech, not a yes or no answer, if you thought it was good or not good. I want you to give a letter grade to it like you're in school. You
Talking
are
to them
still
like children.
Well, it's a focus group.
Yeah.
And they are children. They're fucking undecided voters. Like, yeah. How are you undecided? You have to have like brain damage to be undecided at this point. You either have decided you're not voting for anybody, or you have decided that you're voting for one party over the other. Like, who the fuck's like, I don't know. I don't know about the former president of the United States of America versus the current president of the United States of America.
Also, what I don't understand is like Biden is old, yes, but he was old before. Like nothing has really changed.
Well, I mean, he got older. And,
yeah, but he was still demented before. Like it's weird that people are like, oh, massive difference. He was always demented.
I think that the difference is the media is now covering it with a little bit of truth. So like people have actually started recognizing it. People that like only watch news media never really got to see how bad things actually were until it was like impossible to avoid.
Dawn, what grade did you give it again?
I gave it a C.
And what did you think of the speech?
I thought the beginning was really good. I was looking for unity, speaking outside of the Republican Party. And I thought I heard we a lot and not so much about himself.
Kevin, you're supporting Donald Trump. You've already said that. You gave the grade of?
A B.
And what did you think of the speech?
I thought it was too long. I think
Dude, I love these focus groups because they demonstrate that like American voters are just absolutely insane. The median US voter is a sea of contradictions, and these guys basically demonstrate that once again. Another thing that I always reiterate is that American voters vote based on vibes and not like actual policy. And so when Donald Trump is tonally a little bit more held back, right? That's all it takes for these guys to be like, well, he was seemingly very presidential. And it's like, no, he wasn't. He was still Hitlerian in his politics. But just because he wasn't like yelling and being like, Biden is old, I will kill every migrant. Migrants are poisoning the blood of the nation. Like, because he didn't say that. Because he was like, migrants are responsible for this great nation and its death rate skyrocketing, even though murder rates are down historically. It like, just as long as the tone is there, they're like, oh, I guess it's fine.
I think it started off slow, but as it progressed, I believe it got a lot better.
Okay, up there in the corner, Robin and Kirsten, mother and daughter. The grade you gave it?
I gave it an A.
And why'd you give it an A?
The thing I was looking for was a change, and I felt I heard that change in his voice.
I mean, that haircut says it all for me, okay? Ladies with that haircut have a 75% chance of having the most Hitlerian politics, okay? That's a lady who is going to start talking about securing the nation for our white children. You know what I mean? That's basically the Klansman robe. Calling women Karen is sexist and racist? Yeah, because I am, okay? What the fuck do you mean? Yes. Calling women Karen is both sexist and anti-white racism, and I'm both of those things. Suck my dick. Let's continue.
Expecting. I thought his tone was pleasant and something that...
I thought... When he said, there's an undocumented migrant in every corner waiting to do rapes, I thought that was very pleasant, the tone that he took.
Ray and Barb, you're a married couple too. Ray, you gave it what grade?
I gave it an A.
And why'd you give it an A?
Because it's Donald Trump.
Because I'm an old racist.
He doesn't care.
Because I'm old and I'm racist, and so is Donald Trump, and I love that.
He was who he always has been.
Why are these guys, not a single person I have seen in this focus group is undecided?
No.
Like, it sounds like every single one of them have decided long before this speech ever occurred, by the way. What a phenomenal group of undecided voters. By the way, this is Waukesha, which is like, you know, there's a reason why there's only one black guy there, okay? And I doubt that even he is from Waukesha. All right? They had to maybe extend the zip code a little bit.
Have any of you changed your mind? 11 of you were undecided. Any of those 11 made a decision based on this speech, or is it still the same?
I think I'm more decided.
And what have you decided?
I've decided that I will support Trump.
Anyone else make a decision yet?
I have.
Like, the guy gave him an A and said, it's because it's Donald Trump. Like, what do you mean? You're not going to raise your hand? Like, what do we... Do you think we are fucking stupid, sir?
Maybe he's just holding out, like if Hulk Hogan suddenly like ran for the Democrats, then he'd be like, well, maybe now I'll change my mind.
Yeah, I think I possibly might vote for Hulk Hogan. I'm holding out hope.